Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I have a really exciting video for you guys today. It's kind of a similar video to something I posted in the past about promoting an emotional connection, and I do think these concepts are important, so I just kind of wanted to elaborate on it. A lot of you guys really liked that video. So yeah, with that, let's get started. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about emotional safety. And what I mean by that is a connection with your child in which both of you feel safe in the relationship. So it's one that you would both feel vulnerable to each other, not just your child being vulnerable to you and not just you being vulnerable to your child. This has a powerful impact on your child's social and psychological well-being as well as yours. So it's a really important concept. The reason I wanted to bring this topic up today is because it highly relates to things I have talked about on my channel before, such as attachment and esteem, mainly relating to self-esteem. Psychologists have researched these concepts again and again, and they have found that children who have this emotional connection to their parents or this emotional safety, they will likely end up happier later on in life as opposed to those who don't have this emotional connection with their parents. And I mean, it makes sense. If we're not being open and honest and vulnerable with each other, we're going to be hiding things, and that's going to lead to other complications down the line, hiding behaviors and bottling emotions up inside, and it's going to cause you to get frustrated and fearful and shameful. So it has a lot of negative impacts if we don't incorporate this into our lives. As humans, we have this innate quality where we want to feel safe. It's wired into our well-beings. And when we don't feel safe, our nervous system, in fact, shuts down. And we kind of have this defense mechanism incorporated. So it's something that we almost shield ourselves. So we don't let out our emotions. We don't let out our feelings. We bottle things up and it gets hectic. There's no way of growing if we're not opening up and being honest and emotionally connecting with the rest of the world. Again, that emotional connection with the rest of the world has to start somewhere. So it has to start with the parent-child relationship. Again, like I said, with this defense mechanism, an absence of this emotional attachment can lead to other neurological problems like social complications and emotional complications and even behavioral complications later down the line if it gets to that point. Children will feel emotionally safe if they feel that strong connection with their parent. And they will only feel that strong connection with their parent if their parent regards them in a high manner. Meaning, if your parent isn't holding you in high regards, if you don't hold your child in high regards, how do you expect your child to hold them in high regards? How do you expect them to build that self-esteem if you're not helping them build that self-esteem? Does that make sense? I hope so. Basically, their state depends on you. And I know that's a lot of pressure, but it's really easy to help them, keep them in high regards. Research has even shown that we need 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction to promote a safe and healthy relationship. Now, just to put things in perspective for you, think about how many times a day you spend guiding your children, whether that be criticizing them, nagging them, reminding them, yelling at them, all of these things. So with every 1, we need 5 positive to combat that. And now I know that sounds crazy because we're only human, we all have our off days, and managing or parenting a child is hard. But there are so many little things that we can incorporate into our everyday life to make this process expedited, to make it so much easier on both you and your child. So I'm just going to give you a few tips that you can do. Some of them will be every day and some of them you'll have to incorporate into your own time and figure out when this is appropriate and when it needs to be implemented. One of the most important things, I think, is to love your child. But what I mean by this is most people try to make their child into the perfect person or this wonderful person. But why not just tell them that they are wonderful and let them become wonderful? Meaning, if you tell your child every day that they're special, they're wonderful, they're important, they're powerful, whatever, and they know that, they listen to that, they will become that automatically. If they believe it inside them, they will have to be that person. You know what I mean? If they believe it, they will become it. So don't try to construct them, because then you're going to be fighting with them constantly. It's going to be a battle, and then they're just going to end up into something opposite of what you expected. So just tell them that they are wonderful, that they are important, and let them decide what that means to them. But deep down, they will always know that's who they are. They will themselves become that person. Another thing, I've talked about this as well, is validating emotions, which is, I think, very, very important. A lot of parents I've seen tend to tell their kid they're fine. When they say, I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm hurt, I feel this, I feel that, you're fine, you're fine. You keep telling your kid that, and they'll push those emotions down and they'll never be able to feel fully into them. And that becomes a problem, because then they start to develop things like shame and fear. So we want to incorporate things and opportunities where we can listen to these emotions and let them know that it's okay to feel these emotions. And by letting them know that it's okay to feel these emotions, they will better be able to manage these emotions. So make opportunities for them to share emotions with you. Make it fun. Make it like playing a game or something like that. And you definitely don't want to speak of their emotions in an accusatory manner. Don't make it seem like you're accusing them of feeling a certain way. Make it seem like, I understand that you feel this way. Let's work on something to help fix this. Let's understand this together. Make it a team bonding kind of deal. And when your kids know that when your kids know that their emotions are validated, they're less likely to act out. Believe it or not. Trust me, I've seen this before. Another big thing is make sure that you address your own emotional needs first. Now, this is so, so, so important. I mentioned this in previous videos. Your children look at you all the time. They depend on you for the way that they act, for the way that they feel, for the things that they do. So they're always looking at you. They're always watching what you're doing, because that's how they learn. They learn from you. So that means they're also going to look at you for how you deal with your emotions. And if you're not dealing with your emotions, how can you expect them to deal with their own emotions? Now, the biggest thing I can probably tell you is to let go of these emotions. I know it can be hard, or just find a way to deal with your own emotions. Whether that be going to therapy, finding some kind of inner balance, inner peace, meditation, yoga, something that you find that helps you release these emotions. Because if you're pent up on all these emotions, there's no way you're going to be able to help guide your kid in the right direction. But work with your own emotions and avoid unknowingly projecting them onto your child, because that can become very complicated, especially when the child doesn't know even what you're dealing with, what you're thinking, how you're feeling. And if you're just being angry at them all the time, they're just going to think that it's something wrong with them. And we definitely don't want that. I've experienced that. I know other people who've experienced that, and it becomes a mess. And don't hide your emotions either. Be open and honest about it. If you're feeling angry after a fight with your child, tell them straight up and say, look, I'm really mad right now. I'm going to take 5 minutes to calm down, and then we can talk about this. And they will do the same thing. And think about a child doing that. How mature would that be for them? And think about how often you do that. You probably don't do that, but you could do that, and you can have your child do that as well. And the last thing I wanted to mention was make time to connect. And this is probably, I've said this for every single thing I mentioned, but this is a very important concept, making time to connect. Because like I said, every one negative behavior has to be combated with 5 positive behaviors, and making time to connect are very easy ways to promote that, those positive behaviors. So just making increasing occasions for bonding and playfulness is really, really easy, especially when they're younger. If you're a busy working mom, making sure that you spend those weekends with them and incorporating those, those really precious nighttime routines, and, reading a bedtime story, if, that works out for your schedule or something like that. If you pack their lunches, making little notes, just letting them know that you are there, you are listening, and you want to promote that emotional connection, and you want that safe relationship with them. It's really important. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys learned something, and I was really excited to get back and make this video for you. I hope you see benefit from it. I know that I have definitely seen benefits in other people that I've spoken to. So that being said, thank you so much for watching.